Hello, and welcome to Day by Day True Crime Stories, the podcast where we explore a different crime or justice milestone from this day in history. I'm your host, Kona Gallagher, and today is October 27th. On this day in 2018, it was a Saturday morning in Pittsburgh's Squirrel Hill neighborhood, a Shabbat morning like so many others. Inside the Tree of Life building, 3 congregations gathered for worship. But at 9:54 a.m., that peace was shattered when a man walked through the doors carrying an AR-15 style rifle and 3 handguns. What followed would become the deadliest antisemitic attack in U.S. history. By the time the shooting stopped, 11 worshipers were gone. 6 others, including 4 police officers, were wounded. And the city of Pittsburgh and the nation would never be quite the same. Today, we're talking about the Tree of Life shooting. Let's get started. Squirrel Hill isn't just a Pittsburgh neighborhood. It's a home woven from generations of Jewish life. There are families who've lived there for decades. They walk the same route to services, they shop in local markets, and they stop to talk on street corners. It's one of those places that still feels like community in the truest sense. On the morning of October 27, 2018, that community woke to crisp air and a blue October sky. Inside the Tree of Life Synagogue, 3 congregations, Tree of Life, Dor Hadash, and New Light, shared the same building, holding separate services in different rooms. Upstairs, members of Tree of Life were beginning their Torah readings. Downstairs, the New Light congregation was in quiet prayer. The service had barely started when the unimaginable arrived at their door. The first 911 call came at 9:54 a.m. It was from Bernice Simon. Her voice was trembling when she told the dispatcher, "Tree of Life, we're being attacked." Seconds later, Rabbi Jeffrey Myers called from an upstairs bathroom. The lock didn't work, so he held the doorknob with one hand and whispered updates into his phone with the other as the gunfire grew closer. Downstairs in the New Light Chapel, members huddled in a dark storage room. One of them, Barry Warber, later recalled how their rabbi guided them into the closet. During a lull, Melvin Wax opened the door to look out. There was a single shot, and then silence. Outside, police were already racing toward Wilkins Avenue. When they arrived, the gunfire met them at the door. Officer Daniel Meade was hit through the wrist and hand. His partner dragged him back, returning fire through broken glass. Within minutes, a full SWAT team was moving in. Upstairs, survivors crouched behind pews, whispering prayers and sending texts to loved ones who they thought they might never see again. What followed wasn't chaos. It was a kind of desperate stillness, punctuated by the sound of bullets and the low voices of people trying to survive. After nearly an hour of exchanges inside the building, the gunman was cornered on the 3rd floor. SWAT officer Timothy Matson was shot multiple times in the firefight that followed, but his teammates pulled him to safety. By 11:13 a.m., the shooter, Robert Bowers, a 46-year-old man from suburban Pittsburgh, surrendered. His weapons were still loaded. Investigators would later say that he had posted anti-Semitic hate online and specifically targeted the Jewish community that morning. As the building was cleared, the full weight of what had happened began to sink in. Officers found worshipers still clutching prayer books. Friends were beside friends whose lives had been interrupted mid-prayer. The victims of the Tree of Life shooting were not strangers. They were the lifeblood of Squirrel Hill. Joyce Feinberg, 75, was a retired researcher at the University of Pittsburgh who is known for her warmth and intellect. Richard Gottfried, 65, was a dentist who volunteered at free clinics. Rose Mallinger, 97, the oldest victim, is remembered for her grace and vitality. Dr. Jerry Rabinowitz, 66, ran toward danger while trying to help the injured. Brothers Cecil and David Rosenthal, 59 and 54 were inseparable, and they were beloved fixtures in their congregation. Bernice and Sylvan Simon, 84 and 86, had been married for more than 60 years, and they died side by side. Daniel Stein, 71, was a new grandfather. Melvin Wax, 88, never missed a service. And Irving Younger, 69, he greeted everyone who came through the synagogue's doors. Each name carried a story that held a lifetime of kindness, faith, and community. Federal prosecutors quickly charged Robert Bowers with 44 counts, later expanded to 63, including hate crimes resulting in death and obstruction of religious exercise. In August 2019, the Justice Department announced that it would seek the death penalty. Defense attorneys argued for life in prison, but the court allowed the capital case to proceed. The trial began in April 2023. For weeks, survivors, first responders, and forensic experts took the stand. Jurors heard the 911 calls, saw photographs, and listened to accounts that were as painful as they were necessary. On June 16, 2023, the jury returned their verdict, guilty on all 63 counts. In August, they recommended a death sentence, one that was later imposed by the judge. It marked one of the rare times that a federal death sentence had been handed down in a hate crime case. Appeals are still ongoing, of course, but in Pittsburgh, the community's focus has never been on the perpetrator. It's been on remembering the people who were taken and on what their lives stood for. In the days after the shooting, the streets around Wilkins Avenue filled with people. Jewish, Christian, Muslim, Sikh, neighbors from every background. They all came together to light candles, sing, and stand in the cold together. Messages poured in from around the world. We are with you. We will not forget. The Tree of Life congregations have since begun rebuilding, not just the structure, but the mission. Plans are underway for a new campus that will include a memorial, an education center on anti-Semitism, and renewed spaces for prayer. Out of tragedy, Pittsburgh showed something powerful, that grief can unite instead of divide. October 27, 2018 began as a day of rest, a Sabbath morning. It ended as a day of heartbreak. But the people of Squirrel Hill and the families of those who are lost showed the world a different kind of strength. Compassion that refused to yield. May the memories of Joyce Feinberg, Richard Gottfried, Rose Mallinger, Dr. Jerry Rabinowitz, Cecil Rosenthal, David Rosenthal, Bernice Simon, Sylvan Simon, Daniel Stein, Melvin Wax, and Irving Younger always be a blessing. And may we honor them, not just with remembrance, but by standing together against hate and for one another. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of Day by Day True Crime Stories. If you found this episode compelling, please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. It'll help us grow. And be sure to join me again tomorrow as we explore another significant event in true crime history. Until then, stay safe and remember that behind every headline is a life worth remembering. Day by Day, True Crime Stories is a Little Monster production.
Hey, you can do it!